You're watching Numbskull News, and today we're going to talk about realignment. It's not going anywhere. Now, I've been saying this for a while, but got a little bit of evidence from Mr. Big Time, Kurt Herbstreit, went on the Pat McAfee show, talked about how everybody's just underestimating the amount of movement there's going to be, and in pretty short order, my ears perked up like a son of a bitch because he started talking about Florida State, Clemson, FSU, and he was talking about Pac-12 teams as well. And he was talking, it could happen during the next football season. I'm like, what? He's like, all the way into 2024. That's when he thinks a lot of this is going to happen. And I'm like, whoa, because I've been talking about, the ACC and what could happen there maybe 4 or 5 years down the road. Next year, that's a little shocking to me. And Craig Flugar said, yeah, that's when that story is going to pick up is next year. And I'm like, whoa. How is this going to happen? Because as far as taking somebody to court, a big court battle between FSU and Clemson and a few other teams, versus the ACC and that grant of rights or whatever, that's a bunch of litigation that takes years to sort out. It would, because it's a very complicated deal. We're not talking a matter of months. It's a matter of years. And we've seen this kind of thing play out before with other lawsuits, other big corporate lawsuits that do take years to figure out. So it's not going to be a lawsuit if this is true. Now, I know what you're saying. Whoa, you're basing all this on Kurt Herbstreit. Now, just think for a minute. The man works for ESPN. He doesn't take out the garbage. He's on their biggest college football show, period. He is very ingrained, been there for years and years and years. Trust me, he's heard something around the campfire. Now, ESPN will control what kind of information gets out there to the public. They don't want just anything getting out there. All right, I work for UPS, and they make damn sure to tell all the management what they can and can't say to the hourlies, making sure, they got to make sure their shit's, in order and right. Especially when there's a possible strike looming, you got to be careful when you're management what you're going to say. So, based just off of that, ESPN, of course, went over probably guidelines on what you can and can't say to the public when you're someone like Kurt Herbstreit. So, they okayed him to say that kind of stuff. They didn't say anything against it. Paul Feinbaum talking about how he doesn't see how the pack survives and talks about a lot of other realignment. And if you haven't noticed, he also works for ESPN, SEC Network. I get it, but basically ESPN. So, what the hell? Well, this tells me that ESPN knows the writing is on the wall for the ACC. Even though they have a really good deal with the ACC and doesn't want them. Well, let me put it this way. They have a great deal, but they know it's not going to get to 2036. There's going to be a fight. So instead of a big fight, let's find a way to get certain teams into certain spots. All right, let's find this, as I called before, a controlled demolition of the ACC. This is just another little check in my proof column. Not saying it's direct evidence from Kurt Herbstreit, but the wind certainly is blowing that way if it's ESPN employees talking like this. Like this is going to happen pretty quickly. And if that's any kind of indication, because if these guys, if they work for, whatever, .com or whatever, I'm not taking this, I'm taking it with a grain of salt, a very tiny pinch of salt. But the fact that both those guys, Herbstreit and Paul Feinbaum, and I know Paul Feinbaum, right? Some arrogant jackhole in the SEC. I get it. But he is connected. He knows a lot of people. So does Kurt Herbstreit. So when they start talking like this, I'm listening. If you think realignment is just going to go away after the pack, you're delusional. And if you're an ACC fan and you're like, oh, your conference is dead as shit. I've been saying it for a while, and here we go. You got ESPN people who control your media contract, the one that's supposed to be all shitty till 2036. They're the ones saying there's going to be major movement. Kurt Herbstreit ain't just talking out of his ass. He knows things, or he's been told things. He's caught wind of things. He didn't go into great detail. He just said, hey, I wonder where everyone's going to end up. It's going to be fascinating. And there's going to be a lot of movement. And what have I been telling you about the ACC? In order to do this thing in a peaceful manner, to where everybody wins, you got to find a home for everybody. That's the best way to do it, and that will take the SEC, that will take the Big Ten and the Big 12, like I've been saying. So all you people out there that say, "Oh, Big 12 doesn't have any part of this. Oh, none of these teams will go to the Big 12. They won't sully themselves with the Big 12." You're full of shit. You're full of biases, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about, because Fox and ESPN doesn't see the Big 12 like that. The president of UNC doesn't see the Big 12 like that. He suggested a merger between the ACC and the Big 12 before. The Big 10 doesn't see them like that. The SEC doesn't see us like that. So, if all these major players see the Big 12 as a major player, a key component, guess what? You're full of shit, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I already know you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I'm talking to people out there who want to shit all over the Big 12 all the time. I'm like, is it weird to you that we are prospering when the Pac can't find a deal? The ACC looks like it's going to get ripped apart by every media player out there, and the teams won out. Wait, what do you think? What do you think this means? It means the Big 12 has solidified and they are rising up. No, are they on the Big 10 or SEC's level? No. Has anyone suggested they will be on their level? No. What I have suggested, what many other Big 12 fans have suggested, is that the Big 12 can get closer, can close the gap, the money gap, the exposure gap, the brand gap with the Big 10 and the SEC. So no, they won't be equal to them, but they will be a power conference, not that far behind them. That's the future for the Big 12. So in the future, there's going to be 3 power conferences. I keep hearing, well, the survival of the Pac and whatever's left of the ACC. There will be nothing left of the ACC once they rip it apart. People can't get that through their thick fucking heads. The Pac, whatever's left of the Pac, will be a G5. They won't even be making $10 million a year. They can't make 20 right now. They don't have a deal for anything right now. And whatever's left there will either go independent or be part of the Mountain West. There will be no Pac. So we got big media people within ESPN, and they're telling you those 2 conferences are going bye-bye. They're going to go away because no major media company is going to pay big money for them. They're not going to pay nothing for them. They don't want the tier 1 rights for them. The ACC, of course, there's a lot of great content in there, and that's going to get distributed to where it needs to, where it makes the most financial sense for the media companies and to make the most sense for those 3 conferences that are going to survive all of this. The 2 big ones, and yes, the Big 12, which will also be one of the big ones, people. I'm sorry. Oh, there's no major brands there with no major value there. No media market, blah, 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 blah. Does it matter what you want to say? The Big 12 will be a major player in college sports. One of the 3 major players in college sports. Why? Because they will have a ton of content that everybody needs. All your media players. The Big 10 and the SEC cannot provide everything. Everyone seems to think, oh, they'll take up all. No, they can't. Because they're not going to they're not going to grow to 24, 25, 30 teams a piece. That can't happen. Because the presidents in those conferences don't want to lose money. And when they get their payouts for this increased 12-team CFP, Do you think they want to keep sharing that over and over again and take smaller and smaller and smaller cuts? No, no. And whatever they get from the NCAA, no. There's a level of growth. Only so much growth those two conferences can get because they make so much damn money. To where you're gonna have to start diluting your pie. They don't want to dilute what they get. Period. End of story. And then Fox and ESPN, there's certain teams they just don't want to give gigantic money to. It doesn't make financial sense. Not when you can have that same team go to the Big 12 for a little bit less, and that makes ESPN and Fox feel a little bit better about it. Because with the Big 12, ESPN and Fox don't have to pay the full freight for that damn team. They can split the cost because they both are partners with the Big 12. ESPN would pay what, $40 million, versus 80 plus in the SEC, and then Fox, their end of it. Well, let's say it's 20 million, which is a hell of a lot less than $80 million in the Big Ten. It's not hard logic, people. It really isn't. But we will get to these arguments a whole lot more later on. Right now, I just want to revel in this a little bit because that's been my contention. Everyone's going to have to work together to break the ACC apart. And the only way that happens next year is ESPN right now is setting up plans, making calls, figuring things out. They're talking to the Big Ten already. They're talking to Fox already. They're talking to the SEC already about what teams you want, what things look like, how we can get this thing divided up. And they're probably talking to the big teams, Florida State, Clemson, Miami, UNC. They're talking to those teams right now, seeing where they can put them or seeing what their ideas are or whatever it is. They're talking ESPN. They're working behind the scenes to make this happen. That's how people like Kirk Herbstreit have heard about it and know a little something about it. And it's like, hey, there's going to be a hell of a lot of this going on because his company in the background is working on it. And they're motivated. Because they don't have to do anything till 2036. They don't have to be motivated for shit. But they are. They are. That's what we found out. So this is getting damn fun, damn exciting, and I can't wait. It's going to be a fun next couple of years. That's all I know. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.